I'm feeling sad when spending time alone while my wife is away for work for several at a time. We have a 5-year-old daughter that gives me plenty to do in the meantime, but at the end of day I'll have 1 to 3 hours on my own that will feel decidedly sadder than the rest of the wife always goes on a trip for a weekend, so she'll leave on Thursday early morning and back at noon on Sunday. She does this once or twice a month. I miss her so much while away and sometimes get anxious thinking about anything bad happening to her on the back home. Days without her are just regular days. I go to work, come back home, have dinner with daughter, then she'll go to sleep and I'll be in our room wishing she was there. I read, play video games, etc., and it certainly helps but still feel bad she's away. Video calls, phone calls don't help that much to be honest. They kinda just make me long for her, and sometimes there's also an anxious feeling of, if we don't spend that much time on weekdays and she leaves sometimes for 2 weekends a month, I'm afraid I'll regret little time we spend together years from now. Like, okay, I understand feeling a bit sad but not angsty teenager levels of sad. I've also to think of it more like, she's out there being good at her job, makes me so proud of her, it kinda didn't work. How to not feel so sad when she's away? TL. Dr. Wife leaves for work 1 or 2 weekends a month. Makes me feel sad when away and sometimes makes me question if we are making the most of our time, how to get over it. Maybe you could come up with a cool project to do that as a surprise or a gift for your wife. Something that takes time, something you have to develop skills for, etc. You get the satisfaction of continuing to build into your relationship and it passes the time. Smiley face. Woodworking puzzles on Amazon seem really cool. I agree with the hobby statements. And during time together, take up a new hobby together. Something to learn together and figure out together. It'll be valuable time and you both get to grow. And of course the kiddo can partake too. Think of these weekends as time to finally do something that you might not have otherwise done without the wife. A chance to try out a new hobby, or to reorganize some part of the house, or learn a new skill. Having healthy time away from one's soulmate is enormously helpful for keeping things fresh as well, since you learn to appreciate their presence when they do come back. Agree with others, maybe a therapist. Also, make an effort to make the days she's away special or good, rather than just regular days that lack your wife. Like, have a special pancake dinner with your daughter. Take her to the zoo. Tell her it's a special daddy and daughter day and she gets to decide what you're going to do. Make a pillow fort. Take her to a movie. Even let her have a sleepover. This could be a chance to create great one-on-one memories with her. Make her day with an added bonus of making you happier instead of just wishing your wife would be back. You'll still have time alone in the evenings but will hopefully be less sad. As well, make some of the days special for you. Plan some fun things for yourself for your lonely evenings, either quality alone time or with others. Catch up with an old friend, use a babysitter or do it at your house. Have a Skype or call a family member that lives far away or that you don't keep in touch with much, or even if you do, just call them. Read a book or watch a film you've been meaning to get to. Find a hobby. You'll be a better partner, and more well-adjusted human, if you don't get 100% of your social and happiness needs from your wife. This is actually a sweet post. So rare here. I'm sorry you miss your wife. I'd feel the same about my husband. Plus it is a special kind of loneliness you feel when you are alone endlessly with a small child. I do a deep clean of the apartment whenever my hubs is away for work. He's away usually 7 to 10 days at a time every other month and it's a good time to clean. But basically you need a hobby or a way to otherwise occupy yourself. Woman shrugging, light skin tone. It's normal to miss your spouse, but it sounds like you're verging on codependency here if you literally feel sad and anxious when you're alone and she's gone. I think you should focus on yourself, starting new hobbies and interests, etc., and maybe consider therapy to talk through this. However, you might also want to talk to your wife about how you feel you're losing so much time with her traveling so often and if there's any way that could change in the future. But it sounds like you're verging on codependency here if you literally feel sad and anxious when you're alone and she's gone. I think you should focus on yourself, starting new hobbies and interests, etc., and maybe consider therapy to talk through this. I bet she misses you just as much as you miss her. Watch the shows, movies she hates. Have a friend over to play board games, video games, darts, whatever after your kid goes to bed. Eat ice cream in bed. Order takeout from the restaurant she doesn't like. Basically, enjoy the things that are harder to enjoy when she is around. But I do understand it would be tough to be separated from your spouse that frequently for that long. When my husband and I worked opposite shifts for a while, it was starting to drive me nuts. I just felt really disconnected and lonely, and it wasn't sustainable. If it's at all possible, maybe your wife could look into jobs that put less strain on your family. Personally, I would never be able to put up with a spouse being away that much. Some people can handle it, but it's not for everyone, and it's okay to set boundaries. I travel for work this way, and I honestly hate being away from my partner and my cats and my routine, so I feel you. Some things you can do. Eat snacks or watch movies or TV that you like but she doesn't. Get a hobby you can lean into when she's gone. Think about things she likes and try to do some of those, either around the house or texting her reasons you love her while she's gone or whatever else, things you can work on to make your daughter's life better or your shared family life better for easier. So, look, my wife is my very best friend. I love her, I love talking to her, I love hanging out with her, etc. But there's always going to be some activities that I love that she's either not involved or not interested in. I love old B-movies, video games, and loud-ass trip-hop, she does not. She'll certainly indulge me in them, don't get me wrong, but most of the time when we have time together, I'd rather do something we both enjoy. Anyway, I'd use that time for self-indulgence and or practicing a hobby. It's okay to feel sad about it. Feelings linger for a while but then go. Of course they can return often. I'd suggest finding activities that you find fulfilling and enjoyable. Make that time the best you can for yourself. Invite friends, watch movies, get or do a hobby. The point is to learn to cherish time you have for yourself and learn to be okay with yourself. You might be anyway and just miss her. I do not know. If you miss her so much, is there any way that you could phone her to hear her voice for a few minutes? I did that with my ex when we were not seeing each other for a few days or a week. We had discussed what to do and she always told me to phone her whenever I feel like I miss her so much that it makes me sad. I did sometimes and then I was so glad to hear her voice. That worked for us. What does your wife say about this? Does she know even? Get a hyperfixation. Right, I'm lonely so I own 500 plants. Find other things to do. Spend time with friends. Make play dates to hang out with other families. But dude, being mopey like this is actually unhealthy, not romantic. My husband travels for work and has done so 350 days a year, for 10 years. I'm a pretty independent person, but I have millions of things to do when he's gone. Reading, movies, crafts, etc. Many of these things you could find a way to do with your daughter, too. What is it about having your partner home that makes things better? How can you create some aspect of that for yourself on your own? I get separation anxiety from my partner too, so when he's gone, which is a lot lately for COVID's numerous rescheduled weddings, I do things he doesn't enjoy and eat at restaurants he doesn't like. Lol. If I feel really bad, I spend time making something for him. I have a lot of maker skills, so there's a wide range, but even something as simple as making a floral arrangement or getting some part of his birthday present together. IDK why that helps, but it does. I can also pretend it's good that he's away, or how else would I be able to keep his presence all a secret? Being apart is tough. I've traveled 1 to 2 weeks per month for years. My wife has a busy work schedule too. We work hard at staying connected when I'm on the road. Video calls, texting, phone calls, leaving each other notes, hers hidden in my luggage, mine hidden around the house, reading the same book, etc. The main thing is keeping each other a priority, apart or together. Beyond that, filling your time with meaningful activities are the best coping tools. If you struggle sleeping when she's gone, melatonin helps. Remember too, this is just a season. Keep the fire of passion alive for one another. Good luck, Op. My husband and I are attached at the hip, but if he has to go away for an extended period of time I will sulk for a bit, but then I put my time into projects or extra walks with the doggo. I love to have some gift or love token for when he gets home so he knows I was thinking about him and how much I love him. Now I get excited for him to come home to see his reaction on his gift instead of being sad that he is gone and it's taking forever for him to come home. I think it is normal to be sad and mopey at times when the love of your life is not with you. You just can't let it take over you and make it miserable for you each time she's gone. Maybe you and the little one can make it a special thing to go out and get a little something nice for when your wife gets home. Maybe you take the time away from your wife to start a new thing with your daughter or put that time into yourself, a hobby. I hope you get what you came here for. I too have a traveling spouse and anxious attachment. I focus on little hobbies just for me. Practicing tarot cards, writing, chatting with old faraway friends, planning my garden for the rest of the year, watching shows my DH is not interested in. My wife is gone until Sunday also. Want to game? Sounds like it's time for you to learn how to be your own person. I would talk to your doctor about maybe getting anxiety meds. I want to love someone this much so bad. That is dependent personality disorder, not love. Even though I miss him to bits, I love when my husband leaves for a little while because I get to do all the things I can't really do when he's around. Secret single behavior, is what they called it on Sex and the City. It sounds like a bit of separation anxiety, or maybe a bit of depression. Have you expressed your feelings to her? A therapist? I would suggest it. Best of luck. You seem like a sweet husband and father. This is why you have a second wife. If you're thinking of your wife when she's gone, maybe you can turn it into a more productive version of that. Like making the house nice as a surprise for when she's home, then you'll be getting excited instead of feeling anxious. I think being excited and anxious are similar, so if I can modify fear into excitement it's helpful IMO, and it's easier than being calm. Look for a therapist, or look up tips to help with your anxiety online. People here are acting like going to therapy means there's something wrong. There's not, but you're obviously distressed and anxious, so a therapist can help you navigate those emotions and come up with ways to combat it. Therapy is just talking through your emotions with someone who's a little more versed in that side of things. It's not some big bad place you get sent when you've been bad. So I understand your pain because my boyfriend sometimes is gone for 2 weeks at a time for week. However, it sounds like separation anxiety in your case, because it is only like 3 to 6 days of the month that she is not around and you worry about her safety. Which is very sweet. But also indicates anxiety. And #X200B. For me what works is giving myself time to invest in myself when he isn't around. I look into my hobbies more, focus even more on family and friends, and feel just enjoy living life as myself.